At a steel factory, a worker who almost ran into a drought was lucky that his uncle No Mujin ran to save him in time. He immediately asked the foreigner if he was doing something while the foreigner was extremely panicked. Mujin has just begun to describe the characteristics of an unsafe industrial park. It seems that you don't care about occupational health and safety laws, right? It's the 21st century, and you're still building a factory like this? Yes, our Mujin is a labor lawyer who is at the unsafe factory to check for bribes. But the Black brother's life changed the story of the crime of this factory, but the iron was all poured on him and he died and died cleanly. It must be told about 2 years ago when Mujin was a famous lawyer working at a law firm for 10 years. At the moment, Mujin does not want to do this job anymore despite his statements constantly admonishing him. If you take a break now, there will be no pension in the future. Every crime now Uncle Mujin doesn't care, saying that if I jump from here to the bottom, can I die? Why would people make these safety glasses? As a Mujin statement, I wondered what the real reason was that my brother wanted to take a break. But the fact that he made sure people made these glasses was to prevent people who were going to commit suicide like his brother. When Uncle Mujin got out of the car, in front of him was an extremely messy silver-white whip of his best friend. It turned out that the real reason that Uncle Mujin quit his job as a lawyer was to be pitted by this brother and invest in virtual currency. Only by investing in virtual currencies can you get rich. But what kind of wealth is it when this brother constantly peddles the gear to increase, which makes Mujin a little scared? If you go this fast, you will die. Brother Bear in our house calls everyone who only dies once. As a result, the friend of the Ming line, who had only appeared for a few years, also died in such a vague way. And the Mujin in the monks kept sobbing. Everyone thought he was very close to Luang Min, so he cried like that. Who is afraid is that Uncle Mujin has put all his reserves into futures contracts. Also known as wavy or blowing black and red candles. Why did he cry so loudly? After leaving the monks at this time, the manager of Chongzhong approached him and asked him if he had lost all his assets because he had invested in virtual currency. Why did you ask to quit your job so quickly? Turns out that he is passionate about candle blowing, but it's okay. The bulldozer manager only needs to go to school to work as a labor lawyer. I will arrange a job for him at his company. Uncle Mujin immediately lit up his eyes. Every crime of criticizing high salaries. I just work low salaries. But he still forced the manager to let himself go out. Then the U40 uncle began to rush into day and night school. Even working part-time is learning to learn effectively, also eat knowledge. As a result, after a year of trying, he also received a notice of passing the labor lawyer certificate. But he received news that his manager was fired because he harassed employees. He was sitting in a pub when his colleague did not forget. He should have been drunk when he heard that news by now. Well, John's voice harassed the staff that year. It reminds Uncle Mujin of his manager who used to have intimate contact. It turned out that he was purple now. This uncle's life is already black. But now he is still perverted at this time, the friend advised. Or did you open the office? The problem is that Uncle Mujin has no money. The friend who just flirted with his uncle should go borrow money. Didn't he plan to wait until he was 50 years old and still have nothing? So it's easy to pay. But it's hard. There is only one death in a person's life. It's true that close friends are only picky about who gets married. Advice like advice after the two of them left drunk. Seeing that his friend kept complaining that he didn't want to work for a salary anymore, the uncle skimmed Han. Tell me to be the one who wants to cry because I don't have a job. Why is it just that you are drunk? This friend has just returned to our young Mujin. This is a lawyer with a decent certificate. It's not like a salaried worker like me. As he was speaking, he bumped into the statue and vomited. Uncle Mujin didn't know if he had hallucinations or not, but apologized to the bronze statue and cleaned it, conveniently introducing himself to the bronze statue as a labor lawyer. A noble thousand to serve those in need. After speaking, he left his business card to the bronze statue without knowing that his life would change from here. Because the certificate he took only took 1 year to use, his uncle also decided to open a labor lawyer's office. After that, he also hired his sister-in-law to work as an employee for him. Although she is her sister-in-law, she is a young woman who threatens, if you don't pay me, I'll sue you. And this is the business card with the slogan that she likes the most. We collect salary debts for you. Seeing the photo, the sister-in-law was frustrated. Okay, I'll take a break. She was immediately criticized by her uncle for being unemployed. Hui Ru began to tell me that she was also very busy, which is the advertising channel for top idols. There was almost no time to breathe, he said. Each of her channels has 500 subscribers. I don't understand what kind of brothers this family are. It's just that this sister wants her brother-in-law and sister not to divorce so that she can still be peaceful. Otherwise, she would be bothered to death by her. Suddenly, The phone rang. Both of them thought that they had just opened. But there were customers who were afraid that it was just a perverted brother who called because he heard that his brother had just opened an office. He explained to Mujin about being considered a pervert of the company. In fact, he just wanted to care and pat them because he loved them, but I don't know if it's considered a pervert. Saying it over and over again, he still wanted to borrow money from this poor brother. Each crime is gradually due to pay the rent, so Mujin also has no money to lend. Currently, the two of them are hungry, so the first thing will be to distribute business cards everywhere to find customers to hire them as lawyers, but they go from one place to another. Mujin couldn't find any guests even when he went to buy instant noodles. He also had to use a discount card every sin. That card could not be used, so he had no choice but to starve. After a hard time working, the only thing he can do now is to post information about the 50 discount on counseling at the end of poverty. Outside of work, Mr. Mujin can only see his wife and children whenever he remembers because he had pledged all his property and was chased away by his wife. It was impossible to go home. Suddenly the next morning, the Mujin was woken up repeatedly by a loud knock on the door. He went outside and saw only one person on fire. After a while, he opened his eyes, and it turned out that it was just a dream, but the real person is the landlord who comes to ask for office rent. But he had to open his phone to see what the dream about fire implied. Fire means good point. Business will eat and make money made him happy to go and water the plants. Thank you, because every tree dies except for you. My sister-in-law said it was a fake tree, but the real tree was all dead. That's why she even packed up her things like that and wanted to move out of here. Mr. Mujin was completely helpless at this time. Tell me, why are you still alive? He angrily began to collect things. Tell me to sell what I can sell. Sell it all. He shouldn't have opened an office. It is true that the black part chases everything is black. Mr. Mujin immediately returned to cry with his parents, but immediately received the sentence. Failure is still alive than to be about to reach the age of birth and fail. The next day, the sister-in-law, because she loved him easily, took her uncle Mujin to meet her friend. This friend is Gan Wu, who makes videos on the TopTop platform and YouTube with Huizhu. In order to ask this friend to help me, Huizhu said that I had to bribe him with an automatic coffee machine. When Mujin asked this brother if the YouTube channel already had many people, he honestly said that nearly 1 million made him a little itchy. But specifically, 50,000 is about to make him also turn into contempt. Huizhu said that this friend is a Korean patriot, so that channel is only about love for Korea but nothing. But the purpose for which his sister-in-law brought him here was not to discuss this matter. It's about how to take advantage of Mujin's labor lawyer certificate. According to many of his analyses found on social networks, currently, there are very few companies in the market that can ensure occupational safety for employees. And the number of small companies across the country must reach more than 500,000 companies. This is a great source of income if it is used well. But when Mujin asks what the success rate of this is and what to do, then the brother told me that the work that the whole group was preparing to do was to go to places that did not ensure labor safety, organize them and force them to change. From there, they vomit bribery money as if it were through work. But what about the proportions? He looked at his brother's notebook arm and saw that the success was less than 1%. Seeing this, he immediately ignored the two of them and left. When I came home, my sister Huizhu was asked by her what she was going to do today. She didn't plan to declare, but she asked for it. But she knew that her sister went with her husband with nothing. Huizhu angrily told him not to call his brother-in-law Mujin. It's nothing. She just started to list not only nothing, but also went to steal children's food. Because there is no money, but only go shopping to receive gifts. When I came to eat ice cream, I even licked bird droppings. As a person who has no luck at all, she immediately said that it was pitiful, but she didn't chase anything. The next day, although he didn't believe in the plans of these two brothers, Mujin also ran out of options. I was too poor, so I had to follow. But he didn't expect that this job would be completely convenient just because he had knowledge of law. The bribery envelope kept filling up until the team arrived at a steel factory. The three of them at this time began to want to redistribute the amount of money received. Mujin said to divide 64 brothers, 62, for children, but Huizhu did not agree. Thus, he ate 6 portions, but the two of them could only divide 2 portions. Mujin just said that if he didn't have the knowledge here, how could the whole group be able to operate? But because he loves his sister, he also divided 55. 25 each. The younger brother told me to take 20, but wait for me later. It turned out that he was a private servant, so Mujin and Huizhu also entered the position themselves and negotiated with the manager in this place. While Huizhu was talking to the manager here, he learned that he was the director's son again. Even so, he wasn't even afraid of the Huizhu people coming here, thinking that she was fraudulently appropriating property and threatening to call the police. But Huizhu is also a stubborn person who is not afraid of anything. Tell me to try calling the police here to see who will be arrested. We are following the law and coming, so we are not afraid of anything. To see who loses more money by then. Meanwhile, the opening scene of our film also appeared. Mujin entered the repair work, saved the foreign man and asked him if he was okay. Then began to warm up about the fact that this place is not strictly managed. Why are there many accidents recorded in this place? As soon as he finished speaking, a fishing hook hit the steel behind him. Make Mujin out of the world all the time. Mujin's mind at that time appeared of his family scene. From the time he was a child until he grew up, it was suddenly fleeting. Everyone asks where Mujin is, but one person thinks he's dead and only thinks about himself. There is nothing special about him. Mujin is not understanding what is happening. He said he wasn't dead, but everyone said he was almost there. What do you live for when you are forever selfish? Suddenly, a burning person outside the door attracted the attention of the Mujin. He opened the door and appeared in front of a man who seemed to be about his age talking to him. He asked how he could stand there. It made Mujin wonder why he addressed him like that. This man said he was old enough to address him like that. Seeing that you wanted to live, I came to help. There are countless souls who work hard and die unjustly. After death, I still wander the world, but I am too busy to take care of them. This was the reason why the Mujin appeared in this space. He was forced by the man in front of him to sign a contract with him, with the mission of helping struggling souls to rest and be liberated. A noble profession that serves those in need. That's what the lawyer is worried about what Mujin is doing. After speaking, he handed Mujin the contract and forced him to sign it. One is to sign and continue to live. Second, death is just that. Although he was a little hesitant, he was only allowed to die exactly once according to the teachings of his brother. Mujin immediately signed a worried contract because he didn't even want to die. This fate came from the evening of the day he went to drink. He left his business card to the statue of this god of death, so he was pardoned. As a result, Mujin was not crushed by steel piles, but he still lived with his teeth. Every time he woke up, he was so scared that he took out his pants. Getting into the car, my sister-in-law immediately checked the hook. I closed the thing successfully, but he broke it again. But Ganyu thought that this was proof that they could close this. Mujin regained his soul and told his two younger siblings that he had met a man at that time. Every age, there was a guy sitting next to him which startled him and startled them. I thought I was hallucinating. Mujin immediately went to psychotherapy, but everywhere he went, he saw the figure of the challenger following him. Arrive at the office. When he saw that there was only Huidu left in the room, he also asked where it was. As soon as he walked out, he also breathed a sigh of relief. Thinking that there was no ghost, the ghost was sitting next to Huidu, making him scream. So the Ganyu brother immediately came up with the title labor lawyer, has the ability to see ghosts. Posting this on the top will definitely get a lot of views. However, the two believed Mujin's words. Can you really see ghosts? Surely they need help. So the other two brothers immediately recorded a video. Who is cheap Mujin to see the real ghost and think he is acting? Meanwhile, Mujin began to ask the other ghost, and he replied that he was an Australian Alliance. Used to be a high school student who had just graduated. To reassure his mother, he lied that he had found a job but did not say that he worked in a steel factory. It was the name of the managing director there that took him to the dormitory that the advertisement said was his own residence. But it was like a warehouse where Min Australia lived with the foreign nuns that Mujin had met during that time when he started his apprenticeship. Min Australia said that those people forced him to clean the machine while it was still working and had to find out on his own. If the cutter is stopped or something, it will only slow down the progress of the work. At that time, Min Australia, because she didn't let her mother worry, gave a message that she could eat 3 hearty meals here. There is also a gym, so don't worry. Each of those sins is just a consolation, but everyone is worried about children being away from their parents. Before the reason why he died, Mujin was squeezed by his brother and gave some news to his jaw. Ask us if you haven't stopped doing it, but you really did it. The whole group showed Mujin a video of him standing like a statue. Mujin realized that he had been possessed by a ghost and told his younger siblings. And no one would believe his words. He said he had only heard of it, but he had never seen it. Out of curiosity, the group decided to get on the car and go to that steel factory. Mujin said that the ghost had followed the whole team from that place, so now he had to go find out some information about this place. He looks like that, but he has a friend who is a journalist in a big company. Huizhu just told me that he used to study in college and used to work as a reporter. At this time, he also brought his friend to introduce this brother as a lawyer. As soon as she arrived in Huizhu, she stole the word and said that she was Gona's girlfriend. Huizhu, she always wanted to mark her sovereignty with this friend. In the interview, Zhao Jin said that the chief didn't want to mention this case that year because it was quite obsessive. Meanwhile, Min Au's accident that year occurred outside of working hours. But Huizhu wondered if this looked like being forced. Zhao Jin added that this case had also been arranged between the victim's family and the factory, so she could not know further investigation. In the middle of the conversation, Gong Yu kept laughing at his friend, making Huizhu a little jealous and leaving. My family brother said that I accepted to be my girlfriend earlier. Today is the first day, but she doesn't want to. Go and laugh with my friend just now, it's fun. Mujin saw this scene and could only encourage his brother. Come on, you climb. The whole group continued to ask for information about Min Au's school, but the teacher who taught him didn't remember anything. Suddenly, the younger brother ran in and said that he had contacted Min Au's mother, so the whole group was immediately present at his house. The mother began to tell about Min Au's situation when he was a child who was orphaned by his father in a case where he was very close to his father. Now my husband must blame me for putting it up there too early. Min O sat on the side and couldn't help but choke with emotion when he heard his mother's words. Her current dream is to try to reunite with their father and daughter as soon as possible. And of course, she didn't want to mention anything more about this case because she was too small. Gong Yu also burst into tears on the side and said, "Sister, if you cooperate with us, you will be able to proudly show your children that the world is better because of him." When he returned to the office, Huidu asked her what was wrong with his tears. Cotton said that it would flow out naturally, but I didn't do anything. Mu Yan wondered if you weren't an underground fool who pretended to be stupid. But the eggs were too clean, they even sent them to the victim wholeheartedly, so they didn't know how to handle the case this time. Suddenly in the records at nearly 12 o'clock at night before the Mid-Autumn Festival, Mu Yan realized that these people made this student work through the ceremony instead of sending him home. The blind said that these bastards were finished, including a photo of this friend with a foreigner suspected of being blind. It is possible that this friend can also help something for the team. But first of all, they will try to let the Ganyu brother pretend to be a student to apply for the position of worker. The first thing to do is buy a work suit first. Before the interview, Ganyu also carefully installed the recording devices on his phone. During the interview, this director said that he would not increase his salary because he already had experience. Not to mention that he even forced him to probation immediately without signing any contracts. Currently, Gana's identity is Kim Gukchin. He was led by the workshop manager to tour the surrounding machinery without any safety training. As for the foreign friend, the manager honestly said that although he didn't understand Korean, he did it to show that the salary was low. I've also hired some kids to do internships, but something happened so I didn't accept them anymore. The whole group immediately knew that all of them had been subjected to 10,000 labors. After speaking, he made the blind boy just give it to you, remember to show it properly. But this friend understands Korean very well. It's just that he doesn't want to tell the manager. The blind child said that he had been taught by a good teacher. It was true that he hid the peak. Meanwhile, the director was watching a patriotic program when he saw that the person on the program looked like the new trainee, probably not a coincidence. And the blind child on this side looked through the Ganyu, and immediately knew that he was returning to everything here. Knowing that he was exposed, Ganyu also admitted that he was here to help by exposing dangerous working conditions to punish those who take advantage of other people's labor. But this blind boy didn't want to because if he did, he would be banished. The two of them worked hard to make the manager pay attention and remind them to work, but Ganyu still didn't give up and had to convince this foreigner to the end. At a long time, he handed over the notebook that he used to record the diary of blind children. About his portrait as well as the hobbies he has, including a plan to make money with a blind child to visit his family. Ganyu said that he must like him very much, but since he didn't get much rest, the two of them quickly had to go to work. But Ganyu didn't expect that the factory owner was also here today. He quickly suspected that Ganyu was not the one here and asked him why he came here. He stopped and turned around and asked me, "Well, I came here by bus, but there is nothing to do around here." Everyone suspected that Ganyu was the spy here. A worker came to tell him that this guy was a crook. I myself saw him in the garden the other day. So he was quickly arrested by the workers because of the 100,001 prize. But if you catch him, he is a professional ballet dancer. Dancing again and again, the workers kept rushing into each other and falling. Suddenly, a big player drove the whole car to make a glow and had to cling to the bridge rope and jump on the roof of the car. Every crime, he also quickly fell from the roof of the car. Mu Xin and Hui Zhu outside saw that the situation was not good. Quickly drove in to pick him up, but when he arrived outside the gate, the police were also present and blocked the path of all three people. The spy saw this and immediately danced from the beginning, and he saw that this guy was already shady. Hui Zhu stood up and told him to make content exposing the crime through videos. It was the people here who caused the death of a boy due to working without holidays. The spy said that he had negotiated with his family members, and what did you do to have evidence? I was about to take out the evidence, but my phone was hit hard by her earlier, so it couldn't turn on. Now, because there is no evidence to prove it, the three people are suspected of breaking in illegally. Suddenly, a foreign friend stood up and told me not to call my friend a copycat. He pulled out his phone to record the video of the accident on the evening of the Mid-Autumn Festival. At that time, Min Australia and the orphans were learning Korean together, and the orphans recorded a video. At that time, the steel press machine was stuck, so the manager asked Min Australia to fix the machine because he could not let the work stagnate. The accident quickly occurred, causing everyone to panic and quickly arrive to rescue Min Australia. But the big spy told the small manager to let this matter go and let him die. More than half of the people trapped in it can't live. You have to make sure the workers keep their mouths shut and let them go home. Meanwhile, the orphan begged for his friend but was not agreed. In order to find justice for the orphan, but when no one noticed, he recorded a video of his friend being forced to death in that steel mill. He told the police that my friend was probably alive. He would still be alive if these two cockroaches hadn't stopped us from saving him. Mu Xin began to show his legal talent despite the standard internship agreement. Forced to work through the ceremony, also covered up the scene and forged records. In his records, he wrote that the accident was at 23:50, but in fact in the video it was 12:05 in October. At that time, it was time for the law to protect minors to be applied nationwide. Logically speaking, he will have to be sentenced to 7 years in prison and compensation of up to 100 million yuan. The director asked him if he was joking not to do anything but for 7 years. Mu Xin asked a little bit. It is also necessary to calculate the falsification of documents for the victim's family members. Will have to face an additional 1 year in prison and a fine of 10 million. These words made the little director stupid. Lin tried to punch him, but Hui lulled his brother's face to make a bulletproof beer. Now there are more reasons to sue for more money. The grumpy brother froze and couldn't believe that he was being used in this way. Unable to help but doubt his life, this case was finally quickly brought to the press. A foreign friend bravely stood up to testify to protect his friend. The next day, the whole team brought the video that the orphan sent to Min Au's mother to watch. She couldn't help but be touched because her child was also exonerated. The child who made her feel nostalgic every year can now rest in peace. After returning, Mu Jin did not forget to do the movements that his child often does. She couldn't help but go and hug her son. Now you can rest in peace. Mu Jin's first task was so successful thanks to being a labor lawyer. The whole group couldn't help but be happy because the first mission was also a great success. Ai Yi was on the way when the electric wire suddenly broke as if there was a warning point coming to Mu Jin's team. After being dragged to his world by death, Mu Jin wonders why he is here after successfully saving people. The new death certificate said that the contract clearly states that many people are saved. Not one case is done. So you have to work 24 hours a day or you will die. Mu Jin wondered where these terms were in the first place. Not to mention that he himself has not even read the text carefully. It's really unfair. Even though he knew that Mu Jin couldn't have any choice. One is to be a slave to the letter for death. Or it's just death. Life is still long. My wife hasn't come back. How could Mu Jin give up so easily? So Mr. Nguyen Rua will denounce his death to the Ministry of Labor and leave the province. After waking up, the doctor said that the patient's current spirit is very good except for sleeping and dreaming. Mu Jin just said that she looked at the dead body, making her wonder what she looked like. But looking around the treatment room, there are people with disabilities everywhere. I don't know who is real and who is fake. Maybe through this rafters, he went to treat his psychological illness too much. Even getting in the car to leave the hospital, Mu Jin is obsessed that he meets a ghost while he is a patient. So in order to relieve his death, he went to take a mud bath for mental comfort. And the younger brother Gan Wu received a message from his friend. Make me curious and jealous to ask my friend from college. Gan Wu asked me if I was jealous. Do you want to date me? She wanted to tell me to date my fist mushroom. It's true that only the good looks are good looking. At this time, Hui Du's sister also passed by. Gan Wu said that this month there are 2,000 new subscribers, so he is about to get the silver button. Specifically, nearly 50,000 more subscribers are needed. Changed the shirt my sister was wearing as mine. Ms. Hui Du was mad and wanted her brother to take off his shirt in the middle of the road immediately. Fortunately, Gan Wu stopped it, not a fight. To the fact that the three of them sat together to drink and also had a verbal fight. Gan Wu commented that if I posted this topic it would be hot and hot. Mujin had just woken up from a beautiful dream. Next to him was a woman with a bloody face and then disappeared, making him unconsciously think that he was hallucinating and began to grope. I guess I worked too much, so I just had hallucinations. When he returned, Mujin was still worried, as if he was afraid of being followed. He quickly ran into his office and turned on all the electricity. She was breathing a sigh of relief when a nurse sat at Mujin's seat. Make him panic and ask her what she has, just say it. But instead of talking, this woman only dirted her leather card as a gift. After that, he entered Mujin's body without saying a word. The next day, Hui Du just arrived at the office. Just seeing that the brother is easy to Mujin, he keeps standing in front of the mirror and reflecting on himself, looking quite handsome. He turned around and told him to take revenge to make a surprise fortune. Thinking that her brother was sick, she followed him to the hospital. Mujin seemed to have difficulty breathing, but he began to worry and fear, and then stopped, until a male doctor came to examine Mujin. He seemed to be mad because he was wanted to enter. Why are you still working here? Hui thought that his brother was not well, so he only forced Mujin to rest. Tell him not to cause trouble anymore. After a while, Gan Yu was also present. Hui Du said that he couldn't imagine that it would be easy for him to do anything. But as soon as he left, there were a few minutes that he easily disappeared. Meanwhile, the name of the doctor who had examined Mujin earlier was returning to work when he was slapped by him. I was about to call the security guard when this doctor heard the words that he had cursed a nurse in this hospital. A scumbag like you has the right to wear this blue and white shirt? Then the Mujin circle just rushed up and punched the doctor in front of them. Because it was considered a disturbance, Mujin was also kicked out of the hospital. At this time, he woke up and said that if he told me, the two of them wouldn't believe me. Hui Du just recounted everything from Mujin losing his sword to clearing the doctor's neck. After that, the hair was slapped to the hair, and there was no shortage of shots. Before he understood anything from his two brothers, Mujin saw a nurse's body lying on the ground, looking directly into his eyes. This was the nurse who had entered her, and the doctor's name just now seemed to meet a ghost. I don't know if what I see is an illusion because I haven't listened to the presentation. Meanwhile, at home, the sister-in-law kept asking for this month's salary to quit her job. Mujin said. In that hospital, there was a nurse named Grace who was seriously reversed. After hearing this, Hui Du was scared because he was involved in some demonic psychological things. However, he still asked Mujin how to avenge this girl. The Gan Yu brother also investigated information about this case. On the 29th day at the hospital in Donggu, a nurse committed suicide with the excuse of being abusive to her boyfriend. Mujin felt that this case had been covered up by something. Now it turns out that every time Mujin talks nonsense, the whole group understands that he is possessed by a ghost. Gan Yu said that this case should be thought about rationally.
Dont acte rationally.
So he led the two brothers to see Mrs. Dong to see if any of the gods were entering the Mujin. After a while of knocking on the bell until her ears were broken, she immediately divined Mujin's love path, but he didn't come here right away because of this. Hui Zhu asked the fortune teller to follow his brother. The bronze lady suddenly regained her spirit, saying that the person who followed the Mujin was the one she would never be able to meet, because it was a general who helped Mujin to live in this world. Mujin belonged to the water destiny but was evaporated by the fire destiny. As long as the guardian behind him disappeared, Mujin would definitely die. Hearing that, the younger brother Gan Wu asked the fortune teller about his destiny. She said that it was best for him to keep his mouth blind, as the girl next to him advised. As she was about to leave, she said that the Mujin looked very vulnerable. The main solution is the talismans that I am selling at a 30% discount, clearly attached to the goods on YouTube with Mrs. Dong's silver button. Gan Wu felt that he was losing to another bronze lady, but he still bought the charm because he was a little scared to hear about it. All three of them also went to the priest to confess their sins and ask for holy water. The dumbbell went straight to the Mujin, but there was no such thing here. So the three of them continued to go to the temple to pray for the Buddha, but they only felt tired and sweaty all day, and no one could help the Mujin. It's true that everyone starts to be superstitious with each incarnation. Mujin was careful not to reincarnate, and even bought several chanting rings to carry with him. While lying in front of the convenience store, the employee here chased after him, telling Mujin that if he stayed there, he would be fined. By the way, ask Mujin if this profession earns a lot. Looking at this uncle in poverty, he could die. Having to buy things with a discount card in front of this brother is enough to understand. After buying things and returning home, the sausage had not yet finished eating, and he was asked to enter by the nurse in front of him. Suddenly, the death man appeared next to him, allowing this nurse to do so, causing Mujin to continue to fall into the dream of the memory of the deceased. That year when she was a new nurse at the hospital, Nurse Cho was constantly bullied by the nurse even though she had been working a lot of overtime in the hospital all week. Because of the pressure, even when I went to examine the patient, I mistakenly called the treatment as Mrs., causing the nurse to be scolded without missing a single sentence. Even pressing the news for her lover was sent to work. One day the nurse arrived 30 minutes early, but she was still bullied by the nurse who gritted her teeth, constantly scolding her as a nurse for only being able to endure, while the two younger brothers, Huizhu and Ganwu, who were walking together, were curious about what their brother was doing now. Seeing his brother lying on the chair, thinking that Mujin was sleeping, who was afraid Mujin was currently going through the feelings of the nurse according to the words of death. Although she resisted, Death told him to watch all those memories to know how warm this person was. Hearing that, Mujin decided to close his eyes and look at it again. This time in front of him was the male Dr. Park Honggu who had been admitted and beaten by the nurse in front of him. At that time, Nurse Cho was in charge of a patient and followed Dr. Park's instructions. At that time tried to advise this guy on how to prescribe, but he only made the nurse obey. Because she was working overtime all week and was too tired, the nurse also confided in her senior, feeling like she wanted to die because of this pressure. But when she heard the senior say that if she hadn't worked for a year, it would be difficult to get another place, so she tried to stay for a while. But her complaint to her superiors was scolded by her own seniors, who told her that she was an unpleasant person because she had to work early and lack sleep. Nurse Seo both blamed and scolded the nurse, but because there was an urgent emergency, everyone had to quickly gather. That was the patient in the past that Dr. Park asked the nurse to follow his instructions. Because of this, she was blamed by the patient's wife, and Dr. Park even put all the blame on the nurse's person, making her more and more helpless. Meanwhile, the dean wants to cover up this case. He advised Dr. Park to plan a throat fight, not to reveal it to anyone, and this was also heard by the nurse. Because she had no voice and could not claim her honor, Nurse Cho took her own life in regret. Whoever was shy when she jumped down, Mujin also enjoyed this feeling. It made him angry and asked why he let me experience it. At this time, the god of death said that if you don't let him be entered, how can you understand the patient's feelings? Anyway, you should take my word for it because that's what she advises. From that day on, suddenly the office seemed that no one was afraid of ghosts, but everywhere was frying charms. When it came to dryness, I was not superstitious, but now I follow Buddhism and Christianity. Mr. Mujin was angry and asked to get rid of all this pile and see the weather. But his hand was chanting online, saying that he was not afraid was indeed saying magic. At this time, in order to be able to solve this self-questioning case, Mujin and his younger siblings analyzed each incident he saw in the nurse's memory. Simply put, in order to be recognized as a work-related question, the team will have to find evidence of a cause. The second is that the self-questioning is done based on the time of mental instability. Now the main thing to do is to find the patient's family first. Mujin didn't expect that her sister-in-law had found the victim's brother a long time ago. The nurse's friend was also Sijin. In the evening when she came home, Hui Du's sister asked her if she was not serious about her relationship. Then don't go out with the Ganwu brother anymore. Don't sow good hope for it. The standard is very high and the Ganwu can't meet it. But every time someone presses the news, she is jealous. When asked by her sister, she only knew that it was not her business. It's nice to say, but when you act like you don't have a brother-in-law, you're going to die. It is true that the two sisters do not tolerate anyone. The next day, Mujin went to Nurse Cha's house. He knew that she always told her parents that she was fine in the hospital. But in fact, it is just for these two grandparents to worry. After learning the news, the family only knew that this case was considered suicide because of the breakup. So the nurse's family didn't know what to do at that time. Meanwhile, at the hospital, 2 nurses came to see the head nurse and said that someone at the labor office came to see me. As a labor lawyer's office, the duties of a nurse for the grace of the hawk. But this nurse was not lucky or interested in this case. Just stuck on the shelf and continue working. I went to Dr. Park and the nurse said she was panicking. Why are there people digging up this case now? The doctor's name insisted that he had to control the situation and other nurses. Secrets cannot be revealed. After all, he also blamed her. It is said that this is bullying, so now someone has dug up this case. He made the nurse do everything he could to prevent this from breaking out. It also made her extremely tired. I am grateful that the person I bullied that year. The next day, Mujin and his sister-in-law went to the lawyer's office. Used to take on this task to find clues. He said that he had served in the past. But this case has no evidence at all, so it is over. I know that Mujin's brother has just opened an office. The lawyer said with a little contempt and told him to try it out. When I went to see the police inspector, I only knew Song-in used to have a boyfriend and lived very happily. But this case did not show any signs of crime. So the police were also very helpless at that time. The police said there were rumors that it was due to impulsivity or emotional pain. So I just went to commit suicide. It sounds the most reasonable, but in fact, Mujin looks at it differently. Go to the convenience store or stop by to buy some water. Mujin discovered that this Juin's brother works here almost every day without a day off. He again introduced himself as a new lawyer. A badge worth 14 million won. Make the sister Hui Lu and say it's not 99k gold. The salary owes people only 2 dry marbles, but it just shows. Mujin ignored his younger brother and turned to call his younger brother Juinza if he had anything to call him. For more clues, at this time, Ganwu should also plan to use the media to make this case bigger. If that hospital side has covered up and hidden the truth. Suddenly, Mujin remembered that he did not make a complaint and fell under the cupboard. Now the whole team has a reason to look for clues in the hospital. So Ganwu had to disguise himself as a handsome doctor. Wherever he goes, he attracts the eyes of women there. Hui Lu was jealous and told him to focus on his work. Whoever cares about the younger brother pulling out the mirror to take a selfie, Hui Lul, you can rest assured. Only the sisters were seduced, but he didn't, so he crossed the hospital. Mujin now noticed the younger brother, who had just passed by the nurse who had bullied him. Tell him to stay here and see what happened. Similar to that year's gift, Saw Dang was constantly scolded and criticized by the head nurse for not doing her job. Even if she works overtime, she is blamed exactly the same. Suddenly, another nurse saw that Ganwu was handsome and asked him if he was a new intern. Taking advantage of his handsomeness, Mujin asked Ganwu where the equipment room was to go there to get the complaint sheet. Now in the hospital, everyone is rumored to have a super handsome new doctor. That's how tall she looks, like a model. Being an old friend, Ji-sun of Grace was curious to ask what was going on today. The nurse in front of her just revealed that a male intern doctor had just arrived. Meanwhile, Mujin, to distract everyone in the hospital for his brother to escape. He deliberately walked across the hall to protect the chase after him. After this incident, nurses who knew about the hospital's bullying and coercion case stood up to protect the rights of workers, especially including her friend Ji-sun and the nurse who used to bully Grace. It was the hospital that forced people to sign a suicide pledge at the time of their death. It is only allowed to tell the police that the victim is a miserable person after the breakup, so she falls into an extreme state. If this matter is exposed, then everyone will be considered a bully. The hospital's reputation was ruined. On the broadcast, Ganwu also asked if there was another event that was hidden. It was the fault of a doctor named Park Honggu who ordered Song to follow him. In the end, all the blame is placed on her. After the live broadcast took place, a person who claimed to be his ex-lover texted Ganwu. He called everyone out to provide one more proof that his lover was forced to work too hard, not even having time to eat. The ex-lover also mentioned that time he wanted to quit his job a long time ago. But she heard that she was threatened with not being able to enter this industry anymore, so she tried to work. To the point of almost being depressed, the ex-lover regretted not being able to understand his lover at that time, nor could he do anything. Mujin immediately got up and went around the back and hugged her, making everyone look at the girl's shoulder in amazement. When I came back, my sister-in-law dared to ask me if it was a blessing to hug him or was it me. It must be a blessing because my brother-in-law can't show colors. After this incident, Xiao Jiang also remembered that the complaint he had cancelled was still in the hospital. She quickly regained consciousness and sent it to Mu Jin's office. Now there is everything more to authenticate. The group started a live stream on YouTube to attract the media. Expose the truth about the fake face of the hospital. Including the presence of the victim's family, of course, it is indispensable to promote the lawyer for this case. The prosecutor, after receiving the news, also sent people to the hospital to collect all the documents, making Dr. Park Tung-hai sit still. So he had to go to a psychiatrist for treatment, saying that he had seen some kind of figure recently even though he had done all the tests. The new doctor told him that he needed psychological treatment rather than physical treatment. The news about Gong Wu's YouTube channel has also been famous for exposing the truth, making this brother smile and call everyone to register for his channel. After this incident, everyone came to visit the nurse who was treated badly at the hospital, including SEO, that the person who used to bully but also came here to injure his junior sister. After being exonerated, Eun Song also forgave Xiao that because she was also a victim, Eun Song also understood. Finally, she could go to heaven with peace of mind, thinking that her life was fresh. Whoever is cheap, the death brother summons the Mujin to him in a way that could not be more gentle. It was hit by a car, after being summoned to the third world by the bus method. Mujin wondered why I always saved the person he saved me to die, and Death argued. I saved you, the bus driver, because he was forced to work too much. There should have been a 15-minute break every 2 hours of driving. In other words, what killed Mujin was the capitalist system that didn't allow drivers to take 15-minute breaks. Mujin reproached, if you want to punish me, you have to give a reason, but save me so that I have to experience death so many times. Death just told him to think for a while and then bring the Mujin back to the present. The two younger siblings panicked and ran to ask their brother if he was okay. The driver was only careless for a few seconds, but Mujin did not blame. It is to blame for this working system. When he arrived at the office, he told his two younger brothers that he needed to change the system. I will have to be a parliamentarian in politics. The grumpy brother immediately went back to his grandfather's poor documentary. What if this brother is a real MP? The sister humiliated to the side and criticized her brother. A poor person like you who becomes a parliamentarian will surely end this country. Suddenly a phone call came. Mujin's lawyer's office would like to hear from you. It turned out that he received a call from his mother, so he also went home to check it out. The brother told Mujin that his mother has been acting a little strange lately. While gossiping, a small puppy came to see Mujin. My grandfather told me that his mother brought it back there. The brother had just finished leaving when Mujin's mother came back. Mujin said hello when his mother asked him to say hello to someone. He slipped to realize that the woman in front of him was the next unjust ghost he had to help. I didn't think this person was my mother's acquaintance, so I went to my room. Mujin just asked, but this woman couldn't say a word. He didn't know how to help. This woman tried to say a lot, but suddenly Mujin's mother opened the door. It made him scream like a ghost. She also thought that her son was abandoned by his wife, so he was not mentally well. During the meal, Mujin asked his mother, has anyone died recently? She just told about a poor friend of hers named Jang Suk. He used to be a colleague and the owner of the crossbow dog. Not to mention that the two are also close friends who have worked together for 10 years. The mother continued that day because of a search pain. This friend did not go to work. No one answered the phone. It was Mujin's mother who found out, and now she is still obsessed with the case. To be able to investigate where the mother and bad friend worked, Mujin went to ask his father and learned that she wore makeup every 3 months. When I asked where to go, I just made excuses. Mujin followed and found that she looked like she was having an affair with another man. But when he continued to follow, his mother went to a certain multi-level company. But there the managers are very strict about the appearance of the costumes. Mujin sneaked into his mother's room when no one was noticing. Here they are giving the test as if it were something to test for the elderly. Mujin turned on the recording when no one was noticing. Then start monitoring the actions of this head. He called this place the Hall of Wisdom. The ivory tower only needs wise people to pass the exam to continue working. When the test starts, there will be a question every minute. Each question was very difficult for middle-aged people like Mujin's mother. He looked around. In terms of everyone is extremely worried. For those who can't do anything, the overseer forced the elderly here to be good at English and Chinese. As long as you can't answer, you will be knocked out. It was these disturbances that made Mujin's mother's friend feel breathless. He directly walked out. Coincidentally, I heard the words of the supervisors who only knew how to suppress the old man. In this company, it wants to cut personnel in the most indirect way. That is taking the test. After knowing the suffering of my parent company, Mujin personally led his mother to a cafe. Help her relieve stress after a tiring exam by the capitalists who want to cut personnel. After a while, he mustered up all his courage. I asked her why she didn't mention this kind of inspection at the company to me. But the fact that she had to dress up and do silly tests just to keep her job was quite disgraceful. She didn't want her son or family members to know that she was like this. Mujin asked her mother if she felt anything, seeing that she was a little short of breath and pressured. He was sure that his mother's friend must have felt the same pressure. Remembering the previous name of the manager who squeezed his deceased friend. Even if you are a janitor, you have to do these stupid tests. That's why I have to ask the manager to kneel down just to keep it. But it's really difficult. It is because of the excessive compression every time they work. Mujin's mother's friend kept having a heart attack because he was also warned last time to be able to help each other keep their jobs. Mr. Jang Gun gathered everyone together and reviewed the knowledge that would be in the nonsense exams. Partly making people can work with peace of mind. But after a while of not seeing my animal friend, Mujin's mother arrives at her lodging place and finds that she has died on the table just because she studied too hard. Mujin told her mother that she had to try anyway to get justice for everyone here. Arrived at his lawyer's office, Mujin told the two brothers that the other university went to make the janitor take the test. Anyone who fails will be fired. Huidu wondered why he didn't chase him straight away, but had to do so. Mujin recently said that there was once a company that also fired workers, as his brother said. As a result, he was sued for violating the labor contract. Then the head emerged to help the other workers demand justice. As a result, he has now also become a member of parliament. But since a new law was issued for employees over 55 years old, this university uses the method of creating exams to expel workers, make them unbearable but have to retreat on their own. So the two brothers competed to curse these guys were really educated bastards. In the evening, Mujin went to the convenience store he often visited, and his brother who works here gave him a can of beer. He said thank you for helping him break the siege with a driver last time. By the way, tell him that I have a new job. Today is the last day of work here. Mujin in celebration asked him if he wanted to go to eat. You must definitely go eat chicken on the bank of the Hangang River. So this brother immediately agreed, forcing Mujin to remember to treat him that day. So to find evidence of this university mistreating workers, Mujin and his two younger siblings began to interview the janitors at the university one by one. See if this place forces workers to work excessively. Then how much is the salary allowance for each meal? And finally, whether they force people to do something. After returning to the table together, Huizhu was curious if taking this test was not against the law, then it would definitely not be against the law not to take the test. Before that, it was not a reason to fire employees. So it is to do ideological work for everyone. Mujin asked Huizhu to call the Uncle Zhang and back. Said that her son wanted to invite everyone to a meal of black soy sauce noodles. After everyone was present at the black soy sauce noodle shop, Mujin stood in front of everyone and began to talk about why everyone was taking the test at that university. One of everyone's colleagues, Ms. Kim Jong-suk, died at home just because of excessive revision. The root cause is probably known to everyone because this test seems to work, but it is not. Some people here want to be at ease, they don't want to be kicked out because they know what the Mujin wants to do. They did not want to be involved in the protest against the case. Some people are proud of this work. Thanks to it, she can support a whole family so she doesn't want to lose her job. Grandma was grateful to see that everyone kept leaning into her son's mouth. Couldn't stand it anymore and told everyone to be quiet. Let my son speak, knowing that no one wants to lose their job, even if those people are scattered around. But think about how no one takes themselves seriously. If you fail the exam, you will be expelled, but you still do it, and in the end, you will be expelled all the same. A friend who used to pray to me recently has also passed away because of this. Mujin saw the opportunity and continued his ideological work. Tell this school to use the test to justify eviction, not only that, but also test on holidays. According to the law, forcing workers to inspect on this day is like working overtime. You have to be paid, not only that, but you have to be paid half as much. It makes everyone feel like they are being hit psychologically because these days they are not paid but also fired. Mujin scratched everyone's itchy spots. succeeding in making them want to stand up and reclaim their rights at this university. At this time, the school administrators were panicking because Mujin led the janitors to the school to protest. The younger brother is in charge of recording the video to upload to the app on YouTube. Protesting to reclaim the rights of the workers, the person in charge walked out and was shouted at by the Mujin. He said that he was only exercising the right to act collectively according to the constitution and demand justice for workers. Hui lulled one side and lit more fire. He used the test to chase everyone away. It is true that the university has a reputation for behaving badly. During the more intense protests, suddenly the police came from nowhere to arrest Mujin for violating the assembly and protest law. Going back to the station and talking, Mujin didn't worry about telling everyone to have the right to freedom of speech. Keep protesting without fear of being held. After being carried to the police station, Mujin and the policeman got into an argument about the protest. He was accused of lying about public order. Being told by the policeman that a lawyer understands the law, don't argue anymore, and rumor that it is inevitable. And my sister-in-law was in a sad mood because of this, and even buying things to go home for my sister felt foxy. Basically, she didn't care about her brother-in-law and didn't ask anything about her brother who had been persecuted by the police in prison. A long-time husband and wife are strange but unintentional like this. I heard that the next day when the Mujin was walking back and forth in the prison. So much so that other detainees also had to feel bothered by his release. Thinking that these people were succumbing to me, who was afraid to see his wife like seeing a lion in the house. So after being bailed, the two of them sat down together for lunch, and they looked like greedy people. Eating big but hot mouths is exactly the same as at the beginning of that year when he and his wife fell in love. Mizu just thought about this scene, and her whole body was chilled. During the meal, when he saw that his ex-wife had hot coals, Mujin immediately went to buy an ice cream for his wife and asked me if I liked this and what effect the diet had. She curiously asked him if he didn't spit on the ice cream. And what about the message you sent the other day? Remembering the day before, he was about to send a certain restaurant to his wife, when the driver cursed damply. He didn't notice but sent every word of thanks. It's true that I don't know what to explain, so I told myself to thank you for this, that, and today's incident to help me get out of prison. Although the two are divorced, they still look at each other in love. Mizu had also heard about her husband being arrested for protesting, but she didn't think it was so bad that she was arrested. Suddenly, Mujin turned to his wife and told her to go home. What did he do wrong in the past so much that he had to let his wife leave? But Mizu keeps asking her to stay at home to take me forever, so it's very stressful to give her a baby. That's why I didn't forget to remind my wife to send me photos for a long time. I'm very lonely. The more I send the video, the better. It's true that the distance is rotten. And the janitor team has been since the protest. The school sent people to destroy and kicked everyone out of the break room. Mujin said that if you want to go on strike, you must first form a union to negotiate with the university. When Mr. Jianggan heard this, he asked Mujin to set up a trade union. But stopping here, the janitors are treated even worse. So everyone began to compete to collect information about the janitors one by one. Simply write an application to join and form a union. And by writing the name on the person who wants to be the owner of the trade union. The founding ceremony of the Korean construction site labor union was also established. The person who is most trusted and voted for by everyone is Mr. Zhang then. At first, as the president of the trade union, he didn't know what to say, so he just wanted to say one sentence. Let's win the big island this time. So the trade union began to negotiate and made 3 demands to the Korean university. One is to cancel the unfair test. The second is to repay the wishes of the uncle. The third is to recognize the deceased janitor who died due to work pressure. But even though the trade union has been established, the school can still stop arguing. He said that the inspection is only to raise awareness for everyone. If these illegal things continue, the school will have to reconsider extending the contract for everyone here. Regardless of what the school wanted to do, he continued to give the example to the trade union meeting. Inform everyone that 80 of the janitors here support the strike. Therefore, he also solemnly declared that he had to reclaim justice for the oppressed workers. The sign did not stop until the Korean university returned the merit and was hung, and people began to chant slogans. Reclaiming rights, restoring rights to people who were unreasonably expelled. The protests continued within a few days. Mujin was worried about his mother, so he also came to visit his mother. Tell my mother to go home and rest. But the protest can't be without her. The garbage at the school began to be piled up. Mujin's protest team quickly slipped to the office to work. The whole group continued to chant the slogan of victory, but this time it was the students who asked to meet. The school janitor manager said that today was an exchange between the two sides. Seeing that he was filming the film, he didn't forget the most. He sent the documents to the school today, the better. Just by looking at it, you know that the student side is being forced to participate in this confrontation. The student side said that it was only because of this protest strike that it affected the students' studies. If the strike is not cancelled, the students said they would sue the police. Mu Jin was curious why the victim side, such as the janitors, was considered a liar. The students said that they only care about their studies, they just need to know who is affecting their studies, not the source of the incident. Hui Du angrily said that if you treat them today and make them suffer things like this, in the future they will also suffer the same fate of being oppressed. The students still ask for help. I despise the janitors because we are lawyers, we don't have to work as janitors, but we have to worry about these students refusing to cooperate. The protesting janitors began to lose confidence. Mu Jin also thought that he should help the troops to prepare more carefully. But his mother did not agree. If you have done it, you have to do it to the end because after this time, there will probably be no more opportunities to claim benefits. I am sure that the school will leave this case alone. Everyone agrees with this opinion, even if they are people who chew their hands, they must let them know the power of unity. So Mu Jin immediately came up with a way to write a letter sharing his personal voice to hang on the school wall. Not knowing if anyone was prosperous, her late mother's friend dropped her hand, and at this time she said that she would share her story. As a janitor born in a poor peasant family, he grew up without a father or mother, nor was he highly educated. Although I have had to do many jobs such as collecting bus tickets and working as a worker, every profession has been done. Although I have been cleaning here for 20 years, I also feel extremely proud and happy to see that the students have a clean environment to study. Then she began to tell more about the janitors having to take tests that had nothing to do with sanitation, which made her feel extremely scared. If she could let students study in a clean classroom, she could scrub the toilet and the classroom a million times, but she didn't want to take those tests at all. I hope the students can understand what the janitors are going through. When everyone reads the story of the story, everyone feels like the real Mrs. Rongsuk is here. At the meal, Ms. Rongsuk also thanked Mu Jin, telling his mother to be proud of him and always telling him how wonderful Mu Jin was. She had such a smart and wonderful child. However, it wasn't long before the two brothers called Mu Jin, telling the students at this school that instead of sympathizing, they turned around and blamed the janitors. Just because of the suspension, the garbage piled up was not cleaned up, and the whole group immediately knew that the school forced students to do so. Everyone seemed to start getting discouraged about this incident and left almost completely, leaving only Mu Jin's mother and the three brothers left. Suddenly, 3 students passed by to buy some supplies, saying that they supported everyone standing up to protest for their rights. These 3 students heard that the janitors were forced to take the test, and the Ganwu brother stood up to thank him, and the students recognized him. You are an emerging idol. Is it true that Ganjiang TV on YouTube is true? Hearing that everyone is supporting, Mu Jin's team seems to have regained momentum. Mu Jin wished that things like this were spread more widely. The whole group seemed to forget about this Ganwu brother. A live stream master with nearly 1 million followers, specifically more than 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, this is not difficult for him at all. So the whole group began to plan. Someone had to break into the room in disguise. No one is more suitable than Mu Jin's mother, so on the day of the examination, she came out with new glasses, but fortunately the proctor did not recognize her. The live broadcast also began to be recorded on the air. Hello to Ganjiang TV's live stream. Today we're going to talk about janitors having to dress formally just to take a job-changing test. The exam question also began to deepen. Some alumni in the comments even commented that they could not even answer the difficult questions in this. It starts to come to a more thrilling stage when those who can't do the test are called up and reprimanded. Mu Jin asked his mother to get close to this manager so that everyone could see his face clearly. Suddenly, a person under the witness of this manager saw that he was being broadcast live. He began to ask people who were using their phones to film him. This is a fraud. Comments began to boil like rain. Some people even pay tens to hundreds of thousands of won just to shout. The school principal at that time also began to receive many phone calls, demanding that he handle the case smoothly before things got worse. Do not began to dance continuously. Someone even gave 100,000 won with a request to come to the place to shoot the film for him. The younger brother said that he didn't have to do it for money. But because everyone was screaming and asking for too much, we had to do justice, but we didn't know what to do now. After this case, the number of registrants increased continuously. Mu Jin's wife was also shown the biggest cheating case in school history by her colleagues. standing in front of the school manager for an interview. Ganwoo asks why you guys are forcing the janitor to take difficult exams. Here, the former janitors of the village were fired just because of these tests. The new manager stood up and asked everyone to volunteer to take this test, but he was lulled out, saying that this was a threat. He couldn't argue with the law. So Mujin had the opportunity to introduce himself. If he wanted to do with the law, that's fine. I am here to protect the people who are unconditionally oppressed. Labor lawyer No Mujin was also present to rescue people. He began to come in front of the school manager, telling him that he had also publicly disclosed the collusion point into a crime of defamation, and then abused his position to look down on the working people. Not to mention destroying other people's property because that pocket is not cheap. This name is still stubborn, saying that everyone here has no right to speak up. But Mujin's mother asked us that we don't have the right. They are all free people to talk to each other without rights. What do they keep saying? Is it worth it to do this? The more oppressed we are, the more these names will encroach. She began to ask this guy about the questions in the sentence they assigned. Did he know or not? The leader was struggling to answer at this time. Mujin's mother also asked about the school song if he knew it. He said that no one here had ever cared about those hollow songs. It was because of this sentence that he would soon be slapped in the face. Jang Gun started singing and stood up. Not only that, but other janitors also learned this song just to flip the glue at the last minute. These coincidences were also seen by the publisher, who was a former student of a Korean university. He asked to work with the school's leadership immediately. Alumni who had graduated from Korean universities were also quickly present at the school. Everyone is a person with blood in the market when they know that their school background is so rotten. It is hoped that the school must take immediate measures. Because this incident not only smeared the background of these businessmen but also offended them, so the principal only has a way to announce that all mistakes are from the school. Promising to put an end to the case, Mujin was finally able to get justice for his mother's friend. She was extremely grateful to him. Not only that, but the person who had been expelled, Ms. Mungsk, had also returned. Mujin said that now you can rest in peace, and I will also take care of the termite. Mujin's mother also felt a little worried when she saw this scene. Why did he suddenly go to talk to the heir? Meanwhile, in the rest area of the janitors, everyone celebrated the return to work of his friend Mong-suk. Everyone shouted to welcome Mong-suk back. Returning home, Mujin's mother also sighed with relief because her friend had also rested. While preparing to go out, the two brothers called. Bao Mujin quickly went to the hospital because he was injured. But when he arrived at the hospital, Mujin immediately met his friend at the convenience store. Ask why you're here. This trembling little brother didn't know why. He only knew that when he woke up, he was already here. Mujin looked at the mirror and found out. This brother has turned into a ghost for a long time. After discovering that his younger brother Juinza was hospitalized from working at the convenience store, Mujin tries to advise Juinza to hang in there. Don't rush into anything foolish because you can still be saved. After that, the doctor called Junza's sister here. She just told Mujin that someone from Jimu came by. Not to mention Junza's sister also received news from her brother that he had found a job, and she didn't have to worry anymore. Mujin asked if she knew if he had any illness. In addition, he also wanted to know why Juinza had a stroke at work. Junza's sister is worried about lawyer fees, but Mujin is taking this case for free, just because this younger brother is someone he cares about. After the consultation, Mujin went back to see his two troublemaker younger brothers. He found out that these two were planning to film a mukbang and ended up with food poisoning and were hospitalized. Currently, Mujin is also telling his two younger brothers about his situation. This time, the person he met was the spirit of the younger brother working at the convenience store. The younger brother Kan Yu is curious that not only can his older brother see the spirits of the dead, but he can also see the spirits of the sick wandering around. Mujin doesn't know either. Right now he can't even see where that younger brother Juinza is. He is haunted by the pressured look on this younger brother's face. The younger brother Kan Yu at this time also started asking Mujin about information about his friend Juinza. He learned that his friend had fainted while working at a shopping center. So the three of them started to go there together, asking a colleague pushing a cart in the mall about the working conditions here. According to the information, Juinza had been feeling dizzy and had chest tightness a few days ago. It's hot here, but the people who work don't have proper breaks. Ideally, every hour here a worker would get a 15-minute break, but these people share that they only get 15 minutes every 3 hours. Also, there's no air conditioning and this Gonsa guy even lost 2 toenails while working. While sharing with Mujin's group, he was called back by the manager, telling him to focus on his work instead. Mujin saw the manager and quickly introduced himself, and asked the manager about the possibility of talking about a worker named Junze Junze. Unlike the harsh conditions outside in the parking garage, inside, the air conditioning is on full blast with a rather low temperature. Mujin finds this quite contradictory when the company says it wants to minimize costs, but lets the employees down here run the air conditioning at full power. The manager said that they work fine outside. Even 40-50-year-olds can do it. She thinks that Junze is the one who isn't strong enough to work here. Mujin said that he is just a lawyer representing him here, and doesn't intend to argue or dispute about Junze's working situation, just to ensure his rights. So Mujin wants to see the surveillance footage from 3 days ago. However, the manager said that this is a foreign company with a branch in Korea. She has no authority over this matter. So the three had to go back. Mujin told his 2 younger brothers that even though this is a foreign company, if they work in Korea, they have to follow Korean law. Mujin also didn't forget to thank Gansik for kindly sharing all the information here and left his business card. He also received a notification about Junze's condition. Meanwhile, Junze is wandering around, going to see his nephew at the park. Junze has an older sister and a nephew named Yuchan. The 2 of them really love each other, to the point that this nephew gave his uncle a piggy bank just hoping that he would put money in it and give it back to him on his birthday. Seeing Yuchan, Junze can only apologize for not being able to keep his promise on that birthday. When he got back to the hospital, he ran into his sister and Mujin sitting and talking about his situation. He just left, making Mujin wonder and chase after him, asking where he went. Junze doesn't want to live anymore because he has made his sister suffer. Not to mention that if he continues to live, he will add to her burden with the fees, not to mention the tuition loan. Junze once imagined his life turning over a new leaf, but Junze thinks that life is always unfair to him. I just hope Mujin doesn't waste his efforts anymore. He wants to rest because he has worked his whole life. Seeing Junze's back gradually disappear, his physical condition worsened and he needed urgent surgery. The older sister could only cry for her poor, hard-working younger brother. After returning to the labor office, younger brother Ganwoo sent an email to the company but never received any feedback. Younger brother Ganwoo told Mujin to try asking for advice from gods and Buddhas, but it's not that easy to meet them whenever you want. So the 2 younger siblings recalled the times Mujin froze because of some accident. So Hui Ru turned into a Cambodian war god, demanding to go after her older brother for not being able to do his job. But because this method was too strong, the 2 younger siblings decided to strangle their older brother to the point of going to heaven to meet the god of death. Even when he went to the afterlife, Mujin had to admire how daring these 2 younger siblings were. While here, Mujin also asked how he could save his younger brother Junze, because he always avoids Mujin whenever he sees him. The god of death thinks that it's just that he has somewhere he wants to go, and he can't go away for too long. Then he told Mujin not to keep coming here and to leave. You guys can handle this without my help. Just like that, Mujin was kicked out and woke up. In front of him were his 2 younger siblings who were planning to give him CPR while their older brother was unconscious. Luckily, I woke up quickly, or else my teeth and lips would have been messed up. Younger sibling Hui Ru curiously asked if he met any gods or Buddhas. Yeah, well, I did. Seeing the 2 of them constantly pestering him today, Mujin wondered why they were acting like this. But seeing his older brother meet a god, Hui Ru was about to ask when Ganyu grabbed her neck to restrain her. But how can you restrain a female lion? At this time, Junze's colleague also sent a message about the number of steps he had walked in a day. Just started working and already had to walk up to 40 kilometers during work hours. Now the team has more evidence of labor exploitation. So younger brother Ganyu started applying for a job at this shopping center and worked until he was exhausted. The high heart rate made Hui Ru constantly worried. The older brother Gansik also dropped by at this time, asking if Ganyu was planning to give him a bottle of water. Gansik refused to accept it because if he drank water, he was afraid that he would have to go to the bathroom, which was very far away. Not to mention that today is a fairly crowded day at the mall. So Gansik doesn't dare to rest or drink water even for a moment. In this 3,639-degree weather without water in the body, the constantly high heart rate is enough evidence to prove that the treatment here is really not good. The older brother gone sick also subtly reminded Hui-ru to stand further away before filming, lest they be noticed. Just pretend you don't know anything. While working, a goddamn driver crashed into a pile of carts. Because he wanted compensation, he called Ganyu over, forcing him to pay even though he didn't do anything. Fortunately, Hui-ru, who was nearby filming, also filmed his scam, threatening that if he continued to demand compensation, she would report him to the police, making this guy too scared to run away. What an unlucky day. After a day of trying to work and collect information at the mall, younger brother Ganyu successfully created a short video about a young man in his 20s who was exhausted while working from the continuously high heart rate for a long period of time. This young man had to work in a hot environment for 3 hours without a break. The video about labor exploitation was posted on Gana's Gongjiang TV channel. This younger brother also had to admit that he looked really tired during this internship. Seeing Ganyu resting his head on his older brother's shoulder, Hui-ru was a little jealous, telling the two of them to stop being lovey-dovey. After posting the video exposing Junzi's workplace, it seemed like it would have a positive impact, but all the comments said that he was complaining about working a little bit. Ganyu could immediately tell that the comments were from the people at Junzi's company. Mujin suddenly realized that this younger brother Junzi had just had a health check, so he went to see his sister to ask if he could go to Junzi's house to take a look. Because he needs more evidence for this case. Mujin is looking for the health check papers there and believes that it will be useful. After finding out the address, the three Mujin immediately arrived at the house of younger brother Junzi, only to find that this younger brother is really good at studying with many different degrees. After rummaging around for a while, they found Junzi's health check papers, which showed that all of his indicators were very normal before starting work at that shopping center. So they went home and started thinking about how to prove some more authentic evidence. Hui-ru suddenly called everyone back, saying that a gas station employee had commented that he had recruited this friend who had a stroke, and he felt very sad to hear that he was sick. The next day, someone from the shopping center emailed Mujin's group back, because some people on social media found the CEO's personal account there, and messaged them directly about this case. And because the problem was serious, the CEO there agreed to provide the recordings. They also agreed to compensate for the medical expenses, which is definitely the best news in this. Hearing this news, Mujin quickly reported back to Junzi's sister, telling her that she doesn't need to worry about the medical expenses anymore. Junzi's family also came to visit him. His nephew Yuchan was at his side hoping that his uncle would wake up soon to play with him, and put the robot that he liked the most next to Junzi. When they had just left, Junzi appeared again, making Mujin wonder where he had disappeared to all this time. Junzi said he just went where he needed to go, learning how to be a cool uncle in front of his nephew Yuchan. Mujin wished he could beat this younger brother up to wake him up. Only by truly waking up can Junzi become a cool uncle in front of his nephew. So, to help Junzi feel better, Mujin took him on his convertible to cool off. The younger brother was curious how someone who couldn't even afford to pay for goods at the convenience store got such a good car. Mujin told his younger brother to become a labor lawyer like him and he would have it. It's really hard to believe. Mujin shared that he himself was once as stuck as his younger brother Junzi here. Life seemed dull and quite bleak. However, there will be light at the end of the road after reaching the sea. Junji is excited because he has never seen such beautiful scenery in person. Meanwhile, younger brother Ganyu and Hui-ru went to see the gas station owner who used to employ Junji. In front of the camera, he angrily said that there's no reason why such a hard-working person should be criticized on social media. So he also has to stand up to protect some people who are bullied like that. Those who know nothing only know how to comment nonsense on social networks. While filming, some new comments suddenly appeared, but this time they were more positive. The old employers who used to employ Junji all came to defend him, saying he is a quiet person and treats his colleagues very well. Everyone felt angry after hearing this news, unlike the beginning which was full of negative comments from that shopping center. And the two, Junji and Mujin, are comfortably enjoying a moment they haven't had in a long time. Mujin said that at this point they should eat sliced raw fish. If not, at least go eat chicken at the Han River. 000847 299 000849 500. Younger brother Junji also had to give in to his stubbornness. As long as he hasn't achieved his goal, he won't let this younger brother go. Admittedly, This younger brother looks handsome when he smiles. Junjae said that he has always been handsome. After talking for a while, Moojin invited this younger brother to work under him. A labor law office, and Moojin will be the leader. He draws very well, but only think about that when he's completely recovered. The younger brother seems to be dampening this older brother's dream. Woo's positive comments are increasing day by day. Seeing this, Junji's sister only hopes that her brother will wake up soon. And then the incident of younger brother Junjae having a stroke was quickly broadcast on television through Gonwoo's friend, Jaejin, making him admit that his friend looks even better on screen. Huiru, feeling a little jealous, told Gonwoo to give her his hand. Give me some tact when I'm in front of the person I like. Why do you only praise other people? Suddenly, information popped up on the phone that a celebrity with 10 million followers shared the video. The two excitedly hugged each other, overjoyed. It's true that things weren't too awkward for everyone this time. At the hospital, Junjae woke up thanks to the efforts of his acquaintances and himself. He also woke up in front of his nephew and sister. The next day, while going to buy things to celebrate Junjae's recovery, Huiru seriously told Gonwoo to end their relationship. He wondered what he did to make Huiru sulk. Turns out she just wanted them to end the ambiguity and become lovers. On their first day as a couple, Gonwoo wondered why she made such a decision. Huiru said that he had met the 5 conditions she set for himself. The first time was successfully escaping by taking off the blue shirt at the hospital. 2 is trying to push the cart. 3 is pronouncing English correctly when contacting the CEO of the shopping center. 4 is stuffing coins to help Junjae for his nephew. And the last one was when Gonwoo spoke sincerely with Min Uc's mother. That happened quite a while ago, but Huiru was still touched. Then Gonwoo hugged Huiru, saying she looked so attractive. These two probably don't know about Ong Tien yet. Damn those in love. By the way, while everyone was celebrating their younger brother Junjae's discharge from the hospital, these two bluntly announced their relationship, making the older brother think of Ong Tien immediately. After Junjae's case, Moojin's law office was as deserted as a deserted temple. No one stopped by to book a case, leaving everyone unemployed. Suddenly, Moojin's old lawyer friend called from the hospital, asking him to visit because he got into an accident. The 2 younger siblings were suddenly curious, not thinking that their autistic older brother would have friends. At the hospital, this old lawyer friend introduced Moojin to everyone as a labor lawyer, who didn't mind coming all the way here to visit me. Moojin, while pushing the cart, said, I knew you would get into an accident because of alcohol. Moojin can only advise his friend not to drink anymore and to live carefully. Just as he left the hospital, Moojin suddenly encountered a group of workers shouting fire. Fire as they dragged themselves into the hospital. He immediately knew there was a new case to make a video and upload it to YouTube. Going back to a time before, these workers were employees at a warehouse factory. Among them was a young worker looking like a newbie. Everyone advised this young man to work hard here because the salary was quite good. Suddenly, a bit of smoke flared up outside the door, catching this young man's attention. The others saw him standing there frozen. When they started to pay attention, they only saw the fire starting to spread. Outside, other workers also began to see the smoke, quickly running to inform the factory manager. Then he quickly told everyone to go out and put out the fire, because the factory wasn't equipped with specialized fire-fighting equipment or insulation. The fire spread very quickly. Moreover, the fire extinguishers couldn't be used because they were too old. Suddenly, as someone was trying to use a fire extinguisher, it exploded, causing him to die in front of everyone immediately. The manager, being too scared, told everyone to try to put out the fire. While he drove away, the people inside couldn't escape and suffocated to death. While his 2 younger siblings were having lunch at home, Moojin called everyone inside, making his 2 younger siblings wonder if there was a ghost here. Not just one ghost, but a whole group of them. News on TV also reported about the recent factory fire. Reportedly, all workers were not allowed to bring their phones to work, so no one could call the fire department in time. Everyone in the office was sad, starting to blame that Choi manager. Some have young wives and children waiting for them to come home. Gonwoo found out that there were some similar cases a few years ago. They didn't equip fire-fighting equipment to minimize costs, leading to rapid fire and many deaths. Then take the insurance payment for the damage and the burned warehouse. Right, those companies circumvent the law. Younger sibling Hui Ru is having a headache, but the older brother stops her, saying that all these places are taken. According to Gan Wu's investigation, these cases are rarely acquitted. But Mujin assures everyone here, those who cause the consequences will definitely be punished. As for the company behind that warehouse, the leaders of the Mayan Gum Construction Company have planned to eliminate and arrest manager Choi at the factory. Even though he worked there for 20 years, the director doesn't trust this guy much, wanting to cover up the loose ends completely. And manager Choi doesn't know how to handle this case either. The police only advised him to go home and prepare for civil lawsuits. But as soon as he left the police station, manager Choi was taken into a car by people from the construction company. They only know how to receive information about eliminating manager Choi, receive money and work. Knowing he's in danger, this Choi guy doesn't let it go and deliberately causes trouble, hitting the car to swerve all over the street just to get home. After a struggle, he was able to open the car door and roll out, then successfully escaped from being arrested. Meanwhile, the group of workers who died in the fire are still in Mujin's office, curious as to why they can't leave this place. Some say ghosts are often attracted to people who can resolve their grievances. It's just that this labor lawyer doesn't look very trustworthy. Mujin was sleeping. Feeling too much headache, he woke up, asking them why they're still here. One of them said that they tried, but they were blown back here in the end. The two troublemaker younger siblings also arrived at this time, showing Mujin the tape from last night of two guys kidnapping a man right after he left the police station. The street also recorded the scene of that man trying to escape from that car. The ghosts looked at it and immediately recognized him as manager Choi, who left them to burn to death. And the director of the construction company is angry with his subordinates. He gave instructions beforehand, but they still can't catch that manager. If you can't do the job, then just perish together. And Mujin and his younger siblings start to deduce. It's possible that manager Choi was arrested in order to pin the blame of not fulfilling the fire safety obligations. They'll find a new person, open a new company, and then continue to do the same thing. And manager Choi currently doesn't dare to go home to his wife and children, afraid that he will implicate them, so he can only hide everywhere. Calling home, his wife only advises him to surrender to the police. But how could manager Choi possibly surrender himself? Meanwhile, Gan Wu has already made a video accusing the Bu CUC transport company run by manager Choi. The view count is extremely high, which makes him excited, making Hui Ru wonder what he's up to. Hui Ru says that this isn't easy because it's possible that Gan Wu will be sued for posting false information. But younger brother Gan Wu just wants to be a person of justice, bringing everything to light. Not to mention that Reporter Park also sent a message saying that there will be a joint memorial service between the people who were in the fire. So the three of them quickly went to that funeral to prevent any reconciliations with the relatives. Thinking that everything would go smoothly, Mujin's group was blocked by the host, Chan Su, as soon as they entered, thinking that the people in front of him are just people who go wherever they see money. The baseless insults make Hui Ru unable to hold back. She shouts in his face that we're here to help the victims find justice. Not to mention that we're doing it for free, and you say we're here for the money. The two almost started fighting each other. At this time, a man stood up to tell Mujin, the relatives here can't possibly accept the death of the main breadwinner of the family. They were burned in the fire for several days and then frozen in the freezer. So it's understandable that no one wants anyone to come here to reconcile. However, Mujin and Hui Ru still want to find a solution for this case. Suddenly, Gan Yu received a call from manager Choi Choi. He wants to meet up. After getting in the car, Gan Yu tells Mujin that the manager of that area has taken the initiative to contact him. There's something important he wants to discuss, so the workers eavesdrop. Mujin says to leave this case to him, because if there's any danger, this older brother will be blessed by gods and Buddhas. After going there, the people who died in the fire also followed Mujin, asking if he intends to betray them. Hearing that Mujin intends to meet that guy, these people all want to possess him, just to punch him once because they don't have a physical body. While Mujin is struggling, manager Choi Choi arrives. Making these people furious, they start wanting to vent on him. The dust starts to become hazy, making Mujin wonder why they can do this. The ground starts to crack. Manager Choi Choi, because he is too scared, runs away but doesn't get far, until everyone's anger reaches its peak. The tornado causes manager Choi Choi to fall face down and faint. At this point, everyone belatedly feels guilty for hurting someone else. They also don't know what they did to create such a cool tornado to punish the bad guy. But this isn't what Mujin wants, because revenge doesn't have a good ending either. Manager Choi Choi, after waking up, immediately begs Mujin, "Please help me atone for my mistakes with the unfortunate workers." Mujin says that those people are here with us. The only thing you can do is sincerely apologize to everyone. The workers don't want this manager to just apologize verbally, but when they see him kneeling in front of everyone, sincerely hoping to be forgiven. "I apologize to everyone for being too cowardly and running away. As the leader, I shouldn't have done that. I won't make excuses that I was following orders. Knowing that it's too late to apologize and I don't deserve to be forgiven, I should have been the one who died." Everyone felt a bit sorry seeing his sincerity. Mujin asked Mr. Choi if he had something important to tell, right? So in front of Mujin's phone, Mr. Choi admitted all the fire safety shortcomings in that company, revealing all the hidden sins of the leader there. Mr. Choi didn't forget to tell Mujin that in his refrigerator in that office, he hid all the evidence and audio files about what had happened over the past 20 years, hoping Mujin can bring this case to light. Suddenly, some bounty hunters chased after him, making Manager Choi tell Mujin to remember that USB. Then both of them started running away separately. At home, Mujin's two younger siblings wondered where their older brother had run off to, and they couldn't reach him. The two younger siblings decided to go to the address that Ganwoo had sent to Director Choi, but when they arrived, they didn't see their older brother or Director Choi. So they went to the police station to report it, but the police couldn't help either. After returning, the two younger siblings were worried because even the news didn't report anything about the warehouse fire. Could it be that their older brother Mujin is being buried somewhere? Suddenly, the news reported that Director Choi, the general director of Bukuk Transport, was arrested last night. And next to Director Choi was their older brother Mujin. So after Mujin was taken to the station for questioning, when interrogated, he only said that he was just a YouTuber trying to get views, seeing that Uncle Mujin is already old. The police advised him to find a job to do. He's old and can't stay out of trouble. It's just that Mujin doesn't want to reveal that he is a labor lawyer related to Director Choi. After leaving the police station, he opened his phone and saw his two younger siblings calling his name since yesterday. Just hearing his younger siblings call him gives him a headache. His two younger siblings asked if he had found any clues from Director Choi yet. Mujin told them that last night he filmed that the real owner of Bukuk Transport is Mayan Gum Construction. The documents related to that company have been placed by Director Choi in a USB drive placed in the refrigerator in the office. His two younger siblings asked where Mujin is so they can rush over to pick him up. Then he was immediately stuffed into a car by strangers, dropping his phone on the road. Ganyu wonders if something happened. But in fact, older brother was taken back to the basement by the people of Mayan Gum Construction Company and locked up. In the evening, the two only received news from the police. They received a call from Mujin. Ganyu had to redeem him without knowing where his older brother is now. Never mind, just go find the USB at Bukuk Transport first. After Mujin woke up, the news was reporting on the families and victims who died in the warehouse fire in Bukuk. These people were surprised when their family members, whom they had turned their backs on for a long time, appeared on it. But now they're back to enjoy the inheritance as if nothing happened. That's really scraping the bottom of the barrel. These people don't know if Mujin has been eliminated or not. Afraid that the hitmen that the construction company hired will eliminate Mujin to silence the tip. After a while, the gangsters returned, coming to Mujin and asking if he remembered anything yet. The two of them must have a reason to meet up. Mujin whispered in the other guy's ear. Choi acted in the wrong role this time. Then Mujin was punched a few times by the gangster. He had to punch both cheeks to balance them out, then head shut up for good. As for Director Choi, he is currently in front of the prosecutor. Director Choi asked him to suppose that Mi-ong-en of Mi-ong Gum Construction is the real owner of Bu Cuc. Does this change anything? The prosecutor assured Director Choi that this case would be suspended and would be investigated again. The responsibility will shift to Mayan Gum's side. There will be a thorough investigation of this fire. The law may also be amended. Director Choi suddenly added that he kept a recording and evidence that he had retired and was given money to manage this case. There is a USB in the refrigerator in his room containing evidence of those things. After collecting all the information, the prosecutor immediately revealed his true colors. Now, Director Choi can go to prison for the next few years and rest assured that he cannot touch Chairman Kim, the owner. Turns out that this prosecutor is from Mi-ong-gum Construction, who came here to get information about what Director Choi still has. After Moo-jin woke up, the gangsters planned to use the self-inflicted injury scheme. Although they tempted him with food to see if Moo-jin would give in and reveal what he knew, Moo-jin didn't say a word. The annoyed subordinate threw his chopsticks and dumpling down, continuing to sit at the table without knowing that his chopsticks would accidentally be the key to helping Moo-jin escape. So while these guys were busy cheering, shouting, and singing karaoke, Moo-jin took the chopsticks and slowly sawed through the rope that was binding him to escape. So when these people received the order to find the USB in Director Choi's office, Moo-jin had also escaped. But because he was a little hungry, he temporarily grabbed a dumpling on the way. Meanwhile, at Mi-ong-gum Construction Company, he was frustrated when he learned that the lawyers he hired below could not do anything even though he had spent money to block them. These people then suggested to the director a way to expand a network that would benefit the company, which is to take advantage of the association with Assemblywoman Moon. She is someone who specializes in promoting policies that benefit businesses to please CEOs. Just hooking up with her can prevent any future disturbances from those fake journalists. So the director saw the benefit and immediately scheduled her to come here to negotiate business with him. At night, younger brother Ganu and Huiru arrived at the Bu Cuc Construction Company, broke in and started looking for Director Choi's office, to the General Director's office. The two broke in and locked the door, starting to look for the refrigerator that Director Choi mentioned, opening it to find quite a lot of stuff inside. After searching for a while, Huiru suspected that someone had taken it first. Then Ganyu opened the chili sauce box. They discovered it inside, but the people from the construction company also arrived. The two immediately ran out, then Huiru suddenly stopped and threw things at those people. It's a bit difficult to understand why she didn't run away, but stood there throwing things at these people. After throwing, she intended to jump. Ganyu said, "Jump, they'll catch you." In the end, Huiru fell on her own. She threw Ganyu into the bushes. After that, she put a headlock on the gangster. "It's true that with you protecting me, I don't need to worry." The two quickly returned to the car, thus escaping from here without knowing that the USB had fallen out. It's true that things fall into your hands without needing to be found. Huiru wondered why they were so happy. Ganyu then realized that the USB she was holding wasn't there. It's true that the effort to find it has become useless. Arriving home, Moo-jin was calling the phone when he realized his two younger siblings were holding it. Seeing their older brother looking a bit rough, the two asked. But Moo-jin didn't want to tell and hid it, conveniently asking if his younger siblings had found the USB. Ganyu just recounted the process from the moment they went to retrieve it to the moment they returned to the car, resulting in a bunch of thugs wrestling with Huiru. And they also got the USB. The two younger siblings also wondered how Moo-jin could escape from being caught by those people. But Moo-jin was a bit tired, so he told the two to go and rest first. After returning home, Moo-jin was like a lost person, not wanting to talk or initiate a conversation with anyone. While eating breakfast, he heard the news on TV that Director Choi had committed suicide. The person involved in the fire that killed 8 people, making Moo-jin not know what to do now. The two younger siblings, Ganyu and Huiru, also know the news. How can they seek justice now? The witness committed suicide. Even the evidence was lost by his siblings. Moo-jin seemed to have lost his fighting spirit, only wanting to go to sleep to forget everything. Unable to sleep on the bed, he goes to the sofa. One of the victim's spirit is wondering. Someone stood up and said that he must feel too helpless because the witness and evidence are all lost. He has done his best. Day after day passed. Younger brother Ganyu called, but Moo-jin didn't answer. Suddenly, Moo-jin jumped up, as if he had decided to do something. First, he went to Director Choi's funeral, offering his condolences to the witness family. Then went to sit next to the director's son, asking about this kid. He promised the child to buy him a game console. In their minds, they only wanted to be apologized to, but they didn't think that, in order to silence them, things would go this far. At least they felt respected. But the one who deserves to be punished is still lingering out there. However, someone discovered the gangsters were outside. People don't know what they're doing here. Moo-jin became curious. Immediately asked the worker what was going on. It turned out that this group wanted to meet Assemblywoman Moon Jong-gun. That very night, Moo-jin went home to find information about her. It is known that she is a person who tends to do everything that benefits businesses, not the workers. If the CEO of Myeonggum meets her and gets funding, then every time there are more victims like everyone here, no one will be able to do anything to them. The workers don't know what to do and are angry. Moo-jin realized that there was still one way to do it. However, this cannot drag his two younger siblings into it. Their older brother is wearing mourning clothes. The two younger siblings are curious about whether their older brother is visiting Director Choi's funeral. If only they hadn't lost the USB to the bad guys that day. Moo-jin told his two younger siblings to drop this case. Because they're all useless now. He doesn't want to expose the truth. Just cover it up. Making the two younger siblings wonder why he's so timid. Maybe he's been bribed by Myeonggum or something. Moo-jin admitted that he had been bribed, making the two younger siblings a little surprised and then disappointed. He said he can't do a job without pay all his life. Huiru then sulked and left. Looks like this younger sibling has trusted the wrong person. Ganu also felt no less disappointed. But this is what Moo-jin has to do. Because this time he wants to solve it, it will not be possible to drag the two younger siblings along. And this will require the help of the spirits here. And the negotiation and signing between General Director Choi and Assemblywoman Moon. Moo-jin went to Myeonggum Corporation to prepare for the final battle. What he wants to use in this battle is to take advantage of the power of the workers. Like last time everyone used with Director Choi with anger. Moo-jin tries to get everyone angry. See if the power flares up or not. It's just that now there's no gasoline to burn quickly. So everyone's ability has not been activated. Then I remembered that everyone needs to feel their blood boiling. In order to defeat the enemy, Moo-jin decided to use psychological warfare. Are you going to live in humiliation for the rest of your life? The strong are still strong, and the weak only know how to huddle in a corner. You guys are like that, so your life is just like that. Like you, more than 800 people die every year from labor in this small country. That means 15 people die every week and at least 2 healthy people leave every day. Why doesn't anyone feel strange but also accept this pride? Why doesn't anyone feel strange but also accept this pride? Why doesn't anyone feel strange but also accept this pride? Why don't 2 people give up? Why don't 2 people give up? So your life is just like that. Like you, more than 800 people die every year from labor in this small country. That means 15 people die every week and at least 2 healthy people leave every day. Why doesn't anyone feel strange but also accept this unreasonable and annoying reality? Perhaps you are too comfortable with the life of saying what you want. These people are also starting to boil with blood. That's the effect that Moo-jin wants. Everyone, don't forget this feeling. So while the general director of the construction company and Assemblywoman Moon are negotiating cooperation, Moo-jin led his superpowered army to, declaring himself to be the Grim Reaper who would drag all these people down to hell. Those guys thought Moo-jin came to perform a circus act. Mr. Lean used his seismic powers and began to tell the sins that Director Kim committed, forcing him to admit that he was the originator of the Bukak transport fire that stole 8 innocent lives there, then used money to force the desperate relatives to agree to settle the case. Moreover, this homo colludes with politicians to protect his interests and protect himself. One guy tried to rush up to stop Moo-jin, but he was used vines, tie him to the wall, answer me Kim Myong and into prison or hell. The assemblywoman screamed non-stop. Moo-jin had to use his magic to threaten these people, making CEO Kim have to admit all his sins in front of Moo-jin. He recorded all of this and broadcast it live. When someone tried to take Moo-jin's phone to delete it, but it was useless because it was being broadcast live and he had posted it online. After threatening him, he was still not afraid. Asked, "Are you dissing me? Try bringing out all the ghosts here, you little bastard." As soon as he finished speaking, the ground shook again, and the glass doors began to crack. It seems that forgiving a criminal is the most stupid decision of mine. When seeing these people are scared again and want to surrender, Moo-jin told the workers to stop, but no, they didn't do anything, but there was a real earthquake happening. As the 2 siblings rushed in, the room collapsed. After the house collapsed, Moo-jin woke up wondering why his 2 siblings were here. Ganu said that since his older brother was kidnapped, he had secretly installed a GPS. This house is gradually being demolished from the outside. Those people were scared and ran into the elevator, but it collapsed immediately, making CEO Kim wonder why this newly built building collapsed so easily. Moon, The assemblywoman called for help inside, hoping everyone could rescue her. Director Kim's people tried, but it was insignificant. He only knows how to give orders from the outside. One guy blamed Mujin, saying it's because you yelled AA that the building collapsed like this. Mujin then asked if it wasn't because you guys like to cut corners on the construction. The two sides kept arguing back and forth, until Assemblywoman Moon shouted, and the group stopped. Now saving people is much more important, so Mujin immediately looked for a tree stump at the door, using it to pry the bricks off from around the Assemblywoman's legs. Those bastards pry again so the woman can get her foot out. Assemblywoman Moon Woo screamed like crazy, thinking her leg was broken, but Gon-woo said, "Your leg is just slightly bruised, it's still normal." Director Kim still thinks it's because of Mujin. Younger brother Gon-woo then said he only knows how to exploit the workers' dry, tightening costs so this building is easy to shake and collapse. Just as he finished speaking, the house began to shake even more. The subordinate told the director to go to the top floor because there is a helicopter pad there. So the whole group started rushing up. Ignoring the assemblywoman, she's also afraid of dying, clinging to Gon-woo, asking him to help her up. So the four people help each other up, following behind those guys to get to the helicopter pad. After everyone reached the rooftop, the assemblywoman asked the director how poorly he built this building, that it was about to collapse just as it was about to be launched. While they were arguing, the subordinate reported to Director Choi, "The fire department can't send a helicopter here because this building isn't registered." Only then did the subordinate know, because to reduce costs, he did it superficially, thinking it would be okay later, so now no helicopter can come. Even the assemblywoman wanted to call the fire department, but she was also hung up because the fire department can't disobey orders. The ground began to crack again. The whole group only had the way to run down the stairs. However, below was a large fire with smoke, so the whole group only had the way to return to the old place. Now Director Choi is being turned against by the very construction he cut corners on. He only knows how to checkmark his subordinates on what to do while the current situation doesn't allow for anything else. Even the two workers who just ran in said that the fire alarm system here was also turned off just because the contractor wanted to build quickly. These things happened because Director Choi forced the workers to work even on rainy days, causing the cement to not dry in time, leading to a pillar in this building being damaged. The people behind the contract are checkmarking again. You low-level workers don't know anything. Know your place because I'm paying you. But in a situation where the fire is spreading and the building is collapsing, everyone is in the same boat. As the two sides were about to fight, smoke poured out from the elevator. Everyone tried to use towels and clothes to block the elevator. Then they turned to criticize the director for letting these things happen. Truly too greedy, he even ate his own lifeline. The assemblywoman started complaining. "If I can just get out of here, I will tighten the laws on labor safety, as well as severely punish those who violate accident laws. Take your dirty money back and use it to take care of your crippled body." The building started to tilt. The ground caved in, causing the director to cling to a worker and switch places with him. But instead of pulling him up, Director Kim kicked that worker down, replacing himself in that deadly spot. He turned to ask Mujin, "You're a labor lawyer, right? He'll compensate 100 million, no 200, 300. Seeing that he only considers human lives as trash, everyone started to despise him. He thinks of himself as a useful person to the country. If he dies, then a talent in the field will be lost. Mujin and everyone now clearly see his true colors. The friend of the worker from before immediately wanted to rush up to take revenge, but was also stopped by Mujin and his two younger siblings. Because revenge isn't the only way. The worker wanted him to go to hell. Then he stepped forward and asked why he had to go there, talking nonsense. As soon as he finished speaking, the ground beneath him shook. Mujin didn't know why he kept him. As a result, both he and that Director Kim fell into hell. However, Mujin is influential. Knowing the gods, Director Kim also went to the place where Mujin often goes whenever he is near death. That temple still blamed Mujin after he tried to save him, saying he hypnotized him. The surrounding scene suddenly turned red. Those wronged souls appeared as if wanting to drag this guy to hell, making him scared and begging for forgiveness. A voice echoed, "If he is allowed to live, what will he do?" Mujin told him to answer whatever he would do, or just die here and go to hell. Seeing the ghosts around him, he said he would do anything. The workers who died in the fire at the transport company appeared with the god. Mujin said these were the people in the fire that day. They're all your people. The god then took out a contract that wasn't in Korean. Mujin looked at it and pretended to read it, telling Director Kim to sign it because it's all beneficial. The main task is to investigate and compensate for all disasters within 108 days. He immediately changed his attitude because he didn't want to waste money. So the god reduced the time. There are only 49 days left for him to atone for his sins, or hell go to hell. Afraid of going to hell, he had to use the blood on his hand to stamp the contract. If he goes against the contract, he will go to hell immediately. So Director Kim agreed and nodded reluctantly. Rewinding to when Mujin was filming his agreement to do everything. It turned out that the Grim Reaper had shown him a glimpse of the future. Realizing this building is dangerous, Director Kim immediately told everyone to leave. Before everything collapsed, he even gave his spot to the two workers, becoming a better person. Back home, his subordinates asked if he really had to cancel the inauguration and repair everything. That would cost a lot. He decided to set things right. Just as he thought the Grim Reaper wouldn't come for him, the light bulb above his head exploded. On his hand was the same bloodstain from when he signed the contract. Looks like he really has to fix it. So after Mujin received the news that Director Kim would make amends, he announced to everyone that they just needed to wait for him to keep his promise. From this case, the Assemblywoman started talking about tightening the laws on labor accident violations, wanting to find solutions and strategies with everyone in the hall today. As for Director Kim, he has also changed 180 degrees, taking responsibility for checking all the shortcomings and safety of the construction, announcing to the media that he will be in charge of this area, so everyone can be extremely assured. Mujin was also featured in newspapers and became famous after the case of Director Kim. It's likely that many people will hire him in the future, because a lawyer's life is just soaring to the sky. After watching the news, everyone felt happy because their deaths were not in vain. Because thanks to them, others will be less likely to die unjustly. So everyone feels much better now. However, the bad workers still have a request. That is to have Mujin take them to meet each of their relatives. Considering it as the last time to see their family before leaving this world, Mujin also fulfilled their wish. Just like that, the workers got to see their loved ones for the last time before leaving this world. After everything ended, Mujin suddenly received a call from his wife. The two younger siblings think the two of them are about to get back together. Mizu called, telling Mujin to go to his parents' house, because everyone is waiting for him there. Just as he got home, Mujin's older brother appeared. Indeed, my little brother looks so fancy since he's been on TV. People say the ripe rice bows its head. But my brother not only doesn't bow but also stretches to the door. Mujin ran after his brother home. Seeing his wife cooking in the kitchen made Mujin feel that everyone looked happier than usual today. Turns out his mother is smiling because Mizu decided to come back. Mujin's face doesn't look excited, but he must be very happy inside. Turns out today is the death anniversary of Mujin's brother. He passed away some time ago in an accident at a construction site. Not only that company did not take responsibility, but also sent wreaths, causing Mujin to go completely insane at that time. During the meal, Mujin's mother said that she no longer sees her son in the rain. The older brother said from the side to Mujin that he is fine. Turns out that the older brother has been dead for a long time. It's just that Mujin can see ghosts, so he sees his older brother by his side. Seeing his brother, Mujin also teared up. I didn't think a day with family would be so precious. After the meal, Mujin thanked Mizu for coming. The older brother appeared after Mujin's wife went home, asking if his younger brother knows what he regrets. It is not saying loving words to the one he loves. After speaking, the older brother left because he was done. I wish you a safe journey, my brother. The next day at the office, Mujin suddenly received good news, making the younger siblings endlessly curious. It turns out the stock he bought before has increased by 730. The two younger siblings immediately told him to sell it and get back with his wife. Listening to his younger siblings, he sold it even though he wanted it to increase a little more. The two younger siblings advised their older brother to take that money. To reconcile with Mizu, it would be great. These two younger siblings also wanted to help their older brother Mujin get back with his wife. They went home to Huizhu and acted affectionately. Isn't it irritating to see their aunt being fed dog food? The aunt intended to chase Ganyu away. But this is Huizhu's house. so she could only helplessly watch these two younger siblings being affectionate in front of her. So while his wife was taking their child Poku for a walk, Mu-jin boldly said that he came here to pick her and the child up to go home. Mizu was still sulking, saying, "Who wants to go home with you?" Then Mu-jin took out his salary card, saying that he has put most of his retirement money into it, considering it as compensation for his previous mistakes with Mizu. He promised not to make his wife feel lonely. Everything will be discussed with his wife. And more importantly, he apologizes. And he loves you, Mizu. Seeing the money in her pocket and a handsome husband, Mizu also agreed to reconcile with Mu-jin. However, there is one last thing that Mu-jin wants to do, which is to find the god who gave him a second chance to redo his life with his two younger siblings.